Okay, I'm going to do a quick review of each of the earlier chapters. So this is the final exam review. Okay, for the Math 98. My pen has some issues. I think I dropped it and it's got a bad spot on it. Okay, so in Math 98, we did several chapters. In chapter 1, the big ideas in that were order of operations, so PEMDAS, and then integers, okay, and then combining like terms, those 3 things, distributive property, that kind of thing. Okay, so when you have a problem like on number 1, 7 minus 4 times a negative 2. All right, you got to remember to do multiplication first. You got to keep up with your integers, and then you'll get 15. Let's see now. I'm trying to see which other ones might give you a little bit of trouble. All right, let's go ahead and look at number 7. Okay, on number 7, you have variables in there. Okay. And you have all the parentheses and all to worry about. Okay. So this is a problem like where you just are combining, gonna distribute and then combine like terms. So don't forget when you're doing that distributing that you have to distribute to both numbers. And the distributing, that's multiplying that you're doing. So 8 times 3, 24x. 8 times negative 4 is negative 32. Don't forget to include the negative along with the 5. This is important. So negative 5 times x is minus 5x, and then negative 5 times negative 2 is plus 10. At this point, you don't have any equations or anything, so you're just combining like terms. So you put the 24 minus the 5x together, and then the negative 32 plus the 10 together. And you wind up with, that'd be negative 22. Fix that. So that would be 19x. And then 10 from 32 would be 22. So that would be minus 22. So you got to watch your integers when you do that. Remember, you can use your calculator on that. And don't forget that on PEMDAS, M doesn't come before D and A doesn't come before S. We had written it this way to help you remember that. Okay. These, and if we had radicals, we would have that in there. These are, each one is as they occur from, move this down just a little, from left to right. Meaning that exponents don't come before roots. You do those as they occur from left to right. Same thing here. Multiplication doesn't come before division. If there's multiplication and division a problem, you do them as they occur from left to right, okay? All right, now that's basically it for the chapter 1 material. All right, now chapter 2, that was where we were solving equations, was the big focus. But we also did formulas, and these were linear equations. We also did formulas, and we did inequalities, linear inequalities. In one variable. You only had one variable in there on both of these. Where in chapter 3, you were dealing with 2 variables. So that's where graphing and all that started. So we did solving linear equations in one variable, solving linear inequalities in one variable. We also had the ands and the ors problems. Okay, Okay, so chapter 2, that has the most problems. Let me back up a minute. So the chapter 1 stuff is just questions 1 through 7, okay? The chapter 2, okay, that goes all the way from 8 to way down there, all those inequalities, 8 to 23. So that's a big chunk of it. That's why we focus so much on that, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and look at selected problems from there. Um, the big idea on these was that you wound up needing to understand what you did when you had an equal sign, that you don't pull stuff from both sides and combine them. Okay, so if you have something like number 9, that's a good basic one, but the variable's on the right-hand side. Okay, so if we had a problem like that, we're working on trying to get the x. Sorry, I was trying to change colors. Let me go back. Hmm. There we are. Okay, so you're working on trying to get that x by itself, okay? Now, sometimes it really helps if the variable you're trying to solve for is on the right, just to take these 2 sides and interchange them. So I'm gonna demonstrate that. Don't change the signs or anything. I'm just saying if 2 things are equal, it doesn't matter which side they're on, okay? And then we're trying to get the x by itself, so we have to undo -3. So to go across this wall, I'm gonna have to add 3 to both sides. Okay, so that's gonna give me a -18. This is gonna give me a 3x. Okay, and then at this point, I have times, so I have to divide by 3, and if I do that to one side, I have to do that to the other. Okay, so this is quite different from number 7 because you're trying to move across that equal sign. Right, these are also good, though, because if you have the time, you can do a check by just taking the original problem and right there where the x is, put in what you think the answer is and see if it's true. So see how that would be -18 minus 3? Okay. But to get full credit on the problem, you need to show the solution process. I don't want you guessing and checking to get the answer, okay? All right, now let's go ahead and jump to the ones where you've got a little more going on. You've got maybe variables on both sides to deal with. So let's look at a problem like, both of those are good. Let's look at a problem like number 13, say. All right, on problem number 13, you've got distributing to do. Okay, and you've got variables on both sides. Okay. All right, so what you do first is you would get rid of the parentheses by distributing. So you'd wind up with, oh, sorry, it's the pens are really close to the bottom of the screen and it. Okay, so you'd wind up having -8x plus 12x minus 20 equals -9 minus 7x. Okay, so that 4 has to also go to that -5, remember. All right, now let me draw this around the equal sign, because if you have to go across that, don't forget you have to do the opposite, add the opposite. Okay, now what we've got here, these are on the same side of the equal sign, so they're like problem number 7, so you just combine them. Okay, but then at this point, we're working on getting the x's onto the same side, so we'll have to move that -7x to be over here with the 4x, so we'll have to add 7x. You can't just combine them. You have to add the opposite to get it to go away here, and if you add 7x to one side, you add that to the other. Okay, this was the type of problem that was really the key. Once this made sense to you, you were in pretty good shape, but I don't know that everybody really understood what they needed to here. Okay, so we get to here. All right, now at this point, we have 11x minus 20, so let's add 20. Okay, because that would help us. That will get us to where we have 11x on one side and we have 11 on the other. Then we're going to divide by 11, and that's going to wind up giving us x equals 1. Okay, and you can check these like you did the others. I'm not going to take time to do that, but you could go back up everywhere there was an x, plug in a 1, and make sure that the two sides are equal. Okay, so what I wanted you to recognize on that problem is the difference between right here, where we're combining like terms, and right here, where we're trying to move, and this step, where we're trying to move across the equal sign. So here, we're just combining like terms. They're on the same side of the equal sign, but when you're trying to jump that wall, you've got to make sure that you make it go away from one side, and then so do the opposite to get it to the other side. Okay. All right, so that was the idea behind just solving equations. Okay, this might be a good place for me to stop, and then I'll restart with formulas and inequalities.